Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Not sure how this video is going to play out. We are building the spare motor for UCC. So what we have before us is a 6.7 Cummins. It has been sleeved down, power bore sleeves to 4 1/8 bore. Steve at New Performance Auto did all the machine work for us. We also have Steve's girdle, which comes with, I think these are actually 9/16s. They might be 14 mil main studs. ARP hardware for the inner part of the girdle here. Nice 12-point hardware there. We have one of Steve's knife edge cranks. These are the lightweight ones. And then one thing cool that Steve does with his cranks, and I believe he does it whether it's lightweight or not, it looks deceiving, but this is actually a full keyed crank. So we actually don't have to weld this one, which is pretty awesome. And he already drilled the hole for our fluid damper as well. On top of that, we have a set of Street Fighters, because why not? Haven't killed them yet. We have a set of Total Seal rings. Again, we have our 3-piece oil ring, our 2-piece gapless second ring, and then our top ring here. We have a set of diamond narrow bowl 6.7 pistons, 4 1/8 bores, set up with a, I believe these are a 40 thousandths valve relief. Not too sure. But basically it's set up for like a 188 220 cam. We have the DLC coded wrist pins here, and then our button style retaining. Let's see. We have, it's in the box still. We have a no limit camshaft and a set of no limits tappets. We have a Hazley firing gasket set, a kind of plethora of random gaskets I had laying around. This motor will not have any CP3s on it, but it will have injectors in it. We have OEM rocker arms, and then we have a set of push rods for this thing, just standard length push rods. So that is where we're sitting at. And then exciting, we are going to put a set of these gators to the test. Nothing bites like a gator. Love it. Very nice. This did come with a t-shirt, and it was packaged better, but I've opened it since then. So this is their competition series fastener. For those that are curious, this is about what they're looking for as far as a 625 equivalent. Packaged very nicely. Honestly, kind of laid out a little nicer than ARP in my opinion. Nice 12-point nut here, 12-point nuts. We have Amsoil assembly lube. First time using this, should be nice. We have their washers here, and then we have our 6 longer studs packaged off to the side here, which is nice. And then we have our 20 regular studs. I'm very excited to use these. I hope at UCC we don't have to have a use for the spare motor, but if we do, I am confident these will do the trick. We have just a factory oil cooler, Cummins oil pump. We have a fluid damper with their max power kit here. PDD hooked it up. They had one of these Hazley gaskets in stock. And then I was going through all my parts. I realized I don't have an oil pan or a pickup tube, so we'll just throw a junk oil pan on it to get it to UCC. And then we're going to set this up for an 0305 valve cover, because that's the rocker box and valve cover I have for it. Obviously, if we need this motor, we'll change that around, but that is basically it. This motor is not going to look as bougie as most of mine do. A lot of factory parts like fan clutch, like fan hub, excuse me. I won't bolt the dual CP3 kit probably on this one. And then like we won't have a billet front cover. It'll just be a stock front cover. We'll be reusing a lot of the older parts. And then we are going to be running a cylinder head. I'm not sure. I haven't made up my mind if I want to put this industrial head on this engine with the side shelf, or if I want to put the PDD stage 2 ported 6.7 head that we got back from Chris Patterson after he fixed it. So I'll kind of sleep on that a little bit. I don't know if we're going to need H's or HX's, but I mean, we got a little bit of everything to get it done. I'm going to go ahead and get all of our ring gaps ground. I'm going to get all of our bearing clearances measured. I'm going to get the block clean, and then you guys can follow along as we throw this one together. We've done a lot of videos like this, so this one's just going to be a lot of just getting it ready to go. We have parts in the parts washer, so I'm going to speak a little bit louder, but oh my goodness, filming without a hat on. This hair has seen better days, I promise. But last night, went ahead, got everything measured out, everything cleaned, everything prepped, our gear pressed on our cam, welded, our crank cleaned up, and yeah, we're all set up here. We have our block from New Performance with our bearings already cleaned, prepped, ready to go. I got all my main caps clean, ready to go. All of our rods are done up, ready to go. And then all we got to do is just add a little bit more ARP lube to our studs. But we are ready to start dropping stuff in. The only thing I want to touch on is if you do find yourself doing a 6.4 with a 6.7 crank, so you sleeve the bore down. I've never gotten a good video for you guys, but if you look, we had to Dremel the sleeve right there. And I'll be honest, I can't remember which side hits more than the other, so I end up just every time machining it the same way. But you just take a burr bit, a long one, and then you just rest your hand on the oil pan rail here, and you just kind of work it back and forth. That gives you the clearance. Once we get the rods in, you'll definitely see why we had to do that. But if you don't do it, you'll find your engine kind of has like stiff spots. It will run. The first time I ever figured this out, I actually didn't notice, and what ended up happening when we pulled it apart, the rods all had little nicks in them, and so did the sleeves. So it will, I guess, self-clearance. However, I find this is much better for the bottom end not getting slammed into on first fire up. So I'm going to go ahead and lube everything up, get our crank dropped in. We will get you guys set up on a time lapse. Okay, we'll chalk this up to a camera error, but we have our crank fully installed here. I was plugging away thinking you guys were watching. We do have our tappets and our piston squirters in, cranks in. It spins just fine by hand. You guys, it's probably for the best. I kept dropping stuff. This finger is still very, very tender. So yeah, now we'll put the front cover on. We'll put the cam in. Once that's done, we'll put, or actually I'll put the oil galley plug in and then the cam and everything in. So we're moving right along on this build. front cover, cam in, crank cam thrust measured, rear main seal housing on with a new wear ring. And now from here, we're going to put our pistons on our rods, put our rings on our pistons. Okay, my finger is in extreme pain, but we have our pistons, rods, rings, pins all put in here. And now we are going to go ahead and start working on some of the accessories. I got to make sure I put my freeze plugs in here before we put it too far together, or those get really hard to install. But yeah, really hurt my finger, but it's in. Hopefully we can save my finger for the rest of the day. And yeah, I'd imagine probably 5 hours left. That's about it. We'll put probably put the head on, gasket studs, oil pan pickup tube, or at least a temporary oil pan. Put the head on, freeze plugs, oil cooler, CP3 gear. We'll get it. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up and then we'll pick the camera back up. Okay, here she goes on. Protrusions measured. We got our fresh gasket there. A quick look at this head. We're gonna go with our industrial race head with the armor shelf. We'll get it out of the bag. I got Brandon coming over to give me a hand to lift this on the engine, and then we'll get our studs put on and moving right along. I got the one side of the freeze plugs done here for there. Made sure Steve didn't pull that one out. He didn't. And yeah, let's go ahead and put this on. I went with the Gator Competition Series fasteners. RIP to the AMSOIL bottle it came with. I stepped on it and shot all over the floor. So hopefully these things like ARP lube. But we're going to go ahead and lube up all of our washers and nuts now. I went through counting them all. The threads look really nice, and honestly these look just like ARP. So if you're in the market for a set of these, you know, don't be scared. We're putting these in an engine that's capable of 2,000 plus horsepower, and I think they'll do us just fine. And again, we went with this is our OG industrial stage 2 race head, big valves, our Armor Ink shelf, and then this is set up for a 6.7 rail. So we'll get a 6.7 rail thrown in it. We're gonna throw in a smaller set of DDPs. I have a set of 85 LPM, so a little bit over a 350% over. We'll put in this motor. Ideally, this motor will be for the sled pull if we need it. If we end up losing our big motor on the dyno, sled pulling, really, we don't need crazy horsepower. As you guys can see, this engine has really turned into just leftover parts. The sleeves I had from a long time ago, the pistons I've had on the shelf for I don't even know how long. Valve springs are used, heads used, shelves used. We did get new studs for the 625s. You guys can kind of see as we start bolting stuff on the different colors it is. So this really just kind of is like a leftover motor. Not saying that it's not capable of supporting big horsepower, but it is just a lot of leftover parts. This is our old crank that was in our old deck plate, and yeah, it's exciting, I guess. Our gators installed. Guys, these things torqued just like 625s. Only difference is they use a 5/8 12-point nut instead of a 14 mil, but it still clears your factory rocker arm tower. So yeah, anyway, they fit good, torqued fine, ready to go. Took them to what I normally take 625s to on a fire ring, which is 160 foot-pounds. And now we're going to put all of our upper end together. Once that's done, we'll flip it over and do the pickup tube, but it's looking really good to get this thing painted tonight. And then once it's painted, then we can pretty much call it good. We'll prime it up probably. We got to do the oil pan, which won't be here till tomorrow. But we have a set of Super Mental DDPs. These have been reworked. They say 75, but they're 85s now. Skylar did these. You guys can see the SO there, corresponding kit. So Skylar got these set up for us. We have a set of unmodified 6-7 tubes here with our nuts. And then we have OEM used rocker arms that came out of some motor at some point, and Manton valve bridges. So that's what you guys are going to be watching me install. Okay, so a lot of time passed. I apologize, guys. Again, crunch time more so than video time, but we have our completed 6.4 minus the oil pan and the pickup tube, which will be here tomorrow. Once that's done, we'll prime it, put the front cover on it, fluid damper, fan pulley, and that's about it. We got our injectors all the way in. You guys saw the lash. We got valve lash done. For the event, we just threw the 05 billet valve cover on here with the rocker box because that's all I had. 6.7 rail, no pumps, obviously. I'm just, in the event we do need this motor, I wanted to make it as fast as possible to swap. So now we have like a rail on here. So we just got to swap the sensor over. I got to put the adapter plate on, which I can't do till the oil pan's on. And we're also going to throw a flex plate on it as well. We have our manifold, because I'm assuming if the motor blows up, chances are the turbos go with it. I already know what you guys are going to say. Steve makes a killer one. Well, because of you guys being awesome, Steve actually sold out. So this was all I had, which was the XDP ones. They'll work, I guess. They don't look as cool as Steve's, but oh well. We have a XDP rear fleece plug on here, and that's about it. Got her all painted up. It kind of matches the other one, was kind of what I was going for. We'll throw like a turbo on it for the event and probably roll this outside. It looks halfway decent. I'm not going to say it's amazing, but yeah, all that's done. Next time you guys see this thing, it should have an oil pump on it, and I'll show you guys the finished product. Well, if you can't tell by the mess, we are packing up for UCC, as you can see here. But guys, real quick, I just want to let you know, the company that does the shirts, I don't know. I don't know if they'll be there or not, so I apologize. If not, we'll put them on the website when we get back. We'll see what it is. Try to email in. They were supposed to call me before they shipped it, and they've already shipped it. Didn't call me, so I couldn't overnight it. So it is what it is, but feast your eyes on this beauty. Put the old FI on there just for mock-up, and fits pretty good. A little obnoxious, but that is our backup. That's a 107 GT55. And yeah, here she is, fluid dampener on her. We kind of just went with one paint scheme minus the rocker box. Our adapter is an old one that was powder coated, max power kit, factory fan. We got our rail. She looks Gucci. The adapter plate or block off plate We'll have to swap that off this truck if we need it. Dipstick, again, we'll probably swap it if we need it, but it's ready to be crated in the morning and loaded up. But there she is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this somewhat of a rush yet somewhat informative video of our spare motor. Anyway, guys, I don't know when I'm going to post this, but if it's before UCC, I hope to see you guys there. Come up, say hi. Just remember, like I said, if I look frustrated or anything, it's not at you guys, I promise. It's just the way the weekend goes. But we're going to do our best. Hopefully we do better than last year. That's always the goal. So anyway, guys, like this video, drop a comment down below, subscribe if you are not already, and as always, guys, I will catch y'all on the next one.